Hello everyone and welcome to my 30-day coding challenge where I'll try to learn to code a fully functioning website in 30 days. This is, can you believe, day 30. Right, so let's just get into what I did today and what all I learned in last 30 days. But before I go there, I just wanted to touch upon or do a little bit of recap how I started and what all I have been able to learn, what my schedule looked like, and how confident I feel about all of that I've learned so far. Right. So as you know, I started about more than 30 days ago because I took a little bit of break in between. And when I started, the first week was solely dedicated to understand how internet worked. And then I wanted to figure out, like, I essentially did not have any idea about what front end web development is or what back end web development is. So I had to learn everything from the scratch, and I had to do some research on my own as well, like which language to learn and yeah, which technology to use in terms of IDE. So it took some time for me to figure out everything. And then in the first week, I started with how information flows over internet. So that was the first thing I learned about, and it took me about 1 day or 2 day to basically watch a few videos about and learn some naming convention about what an ISP is, what is an HTTP protocol. So things like that, which are the fundamentals of how internet work or how information flows over internet. So it took me about 2 days, and then during that week, I also learned about HTML, CSS. I felt quite confident in both of those, basically. HTML and CSS, yeah, I still do feel quite confident about those two languages because they are quite easy and very syntax friendly and beginner friendly as well. And then I moved on to JavaScript, which is also one of the essential language that you need to learn if you want to have some sort of capacity in coding in front end. So that week, the second week was a little bit difficult because JavaScript I found not so beginner friendly, and if you have a non-technical background, you would tend to commit a lot of mistake initially. You'll because it's the syntax is a little bit difficult to have a grasp on initially, so it takes some time to getting used to it, and the naming convention and the unconventional syntax as well. It took me some time to figure that out, but I wouldn't say that I'm quite confident in JavaScript. But it took me about 6-7 days to understand the fundamentals of it. But still, if there are few, I'm okay to code in it. But if it's going to be some high level concept, such as like DOM is still okay, but if there are some other dependency that we are invoking in JavaScript, then I'll probably won't be feeling so confident about it even today. So that's my status in JavaScript. And then I decided to learn a language in backend web development. And I did a little bit of research which language to go for, and I decided upon Go, just because it's very beginner friendly and the syntax is very intuitive. And I quite enjoyed learning Go. I would say I'm much more confident in Go than I was in JavaScript. And that's one of the reasons that I was able to code most of my backend in Go quite efficiently as well, without the use of most of the AI tools, basically. So yeah, so third week was essentially learning about Go. It took me about 6, 7, or 8 days to have a basic understanding of Go, and then I moved on to building the project. So last week was completely devoted to building the poker app, and like deliberately I chose a app or a project which is quite it's not trivial at all, which is quite, like, I mean, I have to think a lot about when I'm building the game logic, and I also have to think a lot about like how I'll be rendering those information in the web page or in the front end as well. So yeah, it was quite complex, I would say, to begin with, to have a first project. Most people would start with a normal web page which would have either the blog post or they would have a sort of a recipe book or to-do list, which is much easier. But if you are sort of trying to code the whole poker logic in the back end and trying to render it, and it makes sense as well in the front end, then it requires some serious effort. So last 3-4 days, it took me a lot of time to build the whole web app from the grounds up. But let's just see how it looks like today. So I'm going to go into the code first. Let's just see how the code looks like. So this is the Go backend code that I've been able to do. It's about, I would say 900, 920, 930 lines of code, which is quite decent. And while coding the game logic in it, I did take some help from the VS Code because it was quite difficult for me to get my head around like how to decide how a player would win the game. So like few functions, I took some help from VS Code, which helped me to basically get the fundamentals of like how the gaming logic would behave and how to code it. It's basically an algorithm which works for poker. And then if I go on front end, so this is how HTML look like, pretty decent, nothing much. It's about 120 lines of code. Then JavaScript is about 250, 60 lines of code, and then CSS, which is very basic. And now let's just move on to how the app looks like in real time. So yeah, this is how it looks like now. I haven't been able to debug it. I do not know any like I've been able to test it once or twice, but I haven't been able to fully debug it end to end. So let's just see how it works or how it looks like now. So I need to put in a player. Let's say I'll put myself, and I need to put another player as well. I'll just take my middle name and join table. So now we have two players, and you see there are no cards, but I'll have to go to the next hand manually, sorry. So now you see we both have cards, and now you can also see the image of the card as well, right? So one player has three of um, spades and jack of clubs, and then other player has two of clubs and three of clubs. And now the the next thing would be like, to call or bet. Let's keep it simple. I'm gonna call. Okay, so this is not my turn. That's another thing. I need to put in the ID of the player whose turn it is, and then only I can call. So you see I called. Now the turn goes to second player. I'm just gonna make a simple call again. So both the player have call, and then we should go to the next phase, which should be the flop. So now we have flop, and you can see the cards here as well. And let's keep calling it and see what happens in the end. Turn one. So again, I need to put in the ID first, one, and call. Now I'll put ID two and call. So yes. And next phase, now it shown me the turn card. Now again, let's keep calling. Call, ID2, call, and let's go to the next phase. Now it has shown me the river, and again I'll just keep calling now to see whether the gaming logic works correctly or not. And two, I will call again. Okay, so right, so as you can see, it's showing the winner ID. It is saying winner is one. And if I look at the cards, which seems to be okay, it has a higher card, Jack, and I do not see any pair or any other winning combination. So it decided upon, since this ID has a higher card, and that's how it decided the winner. So it's working quite fine, at least in this scenario. I'll still have to debug and test it for other scenario as I keep playing with it and as I keep adding more functionalities to it. This is just one table. I'll probably add one or two more table to it to make it more robust or many people can play. This is still hosted on my laptop, so like, yeah, people from outside won't be able to play unless they download the program and they run the same server as I do. So yeah, it's a little bit tricky. I'll see if I decide to host it somewhere where it would be easier for me to make it public, but that's still to be seen. Well, having said that, this is the end of the 30-day journey. I felt like I've learned a lot, and I've grown a lot as well. Like I did not have any idea about the languages, about what's out there. And like in just past 30 days, I've been able to research it on my own. I've been able to learn it on my own, and I've been able to code on my own as well. So that goes to show like it's not that hard, guys. Like, and especially with the availability of tools we have right now, we do not need to know everything what's happening, but we just need to know the fundamentals of it, and then everything becomes quite easy to code or to build whatever you want to build. So that's my assessment of coding in the past 30 days. And this has not been over. Obviously, it's just the start of it. I'll still be sharing more videos of you, whatever I'll be learning on day-to-day basis. Probably I'll share another video tomorrow as well to make some improvement in this code. And as I said before, like if I want to make it multi-table, if I want to have more functionalities in it, then I'll need to learn a little bit more about WebSockets or containerizations or Docker that I haven't done so far. But if I do in the future, then I'll be uploading the videos on of that as well. So this is not a finished product by any standard, but it's just the start. That's what I mean to say. Uh, yeah, thank you very much for tuning in today as well. That's it from me. And if you have any feedback for me, if you found it useful, please let me know in the comments. And as usual, I'll be posting the video tomorrow as well for sure, improving it a little bit more. And I'll keep continuing the journey of learning, and whatever I learn, I make sure that I'll document it and I'll be posting it here for you guys to take some inspiration, or yeah, if you find it, if you also on the same boat or trying to figure out what technology is out there and how to become more proficient. Yeah, if you feel like you are drowning in information, it's good to see like what you can do with all the tools available to you, and how you can make your fundamentals strong about any technology, basically about anything. So that's my philosophy. Great. Thank you very much again for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.